Do you want to make over $100,000? That is life-changing money, huh? Contact CJ Noel at 239-404-9649 to obtain your insurance license. Mention No Cupcake Zone.
You are now listening to the No Cupcake Zone podcast, sponsored by CJ Noel Insurance Services, where you can find all your financial and insurance solutions. For more information, please contact cjnoelinsurance.com or call 239-403-8391. Make sure to also visit NoCupcakeZone.com for future and past shows. Enjoy the show.
Triple BLACK, aka the number one stunner, aka the boss, aka big timers, hot boys, and young money. All black, bitch. You already know what it is. No Cupcake Zone Podcast, man. I got some hot fire, man. Hey, let me bust a couple shots at the haters. Let me drop the bomb on them. Hey, man, you guys better stay tuned, man. This show is full of game. I got Dave Anderson, a.k.a. Taz Daddy. You already know what it is, man. Action-packed, full of game. We talk about business. We talk about politics. We talk about everything, man. Not everything, but, you know, we had a good time, man. Shout out to Taz Daddy, Dave, man. Dog, awesome, man. Hey, he's a branding expert, man. His claim to fame is he was a music producer, radio personality. He produced the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, which is a nationally syndicated show. Big shit, man. You know, I'm doing big things over here, man. But anyways, before you do anything, go to NoCupcakeZone.com. Shout out to CJ Noel Insurance. Make sure you guys take care of the sponsor. Also, I got another sponsor, Audible Books. Go to www.audibletrial.com/No Cupcake Zone and sign up for a 30-day free trial. Man, if you can't read, listen to the audiobook, man. Hey, support the show, man. Go ahead and sign up. Hey, you know, I got a little mouth to feed now. But anyways, man. Hey, quick commercial break. We're going to get right to the show. We got Dave Anderson in the building, man. Holla at your boy.
Have you ever asked yourself, what if something happens to me? How is my family protected? Will I be able to retire one day? Am I covered? Are my taxes filed correctly? These are all important questions that need to be answered. Visit the experts at CJ Noel Insurance Services for all your financial and insurance needs. Internationally known for their excellence, CJ Noel Insurance has proudly served the Naples area for over 20 years and is the #1 Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance provider in the Southwest Florida area. Conveniently located in Naples at 2800 Davis Boulevard, Suite 208. Stop by or call 239-403-8391 for an appointment or a quote.
You are now listening to the No Cupcake Zone Podcast, where there ain't nothing sweet. Hosted by your boy, Triple Black. Now back to our show.
Man, welcome to No Cupcake Zone, man. I got a very special guest, Dave Anderson, man. He's one of the leading branding and business coaches in the U.S. He's actually worked for many companies like Nutrisystem, ADP, and he was actually the producer to the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, man. Man, go ahead and introduce yourself, man. I probably left a whole bunch of other stuff out, man.
Man, it's well, thank you, man. I definitely appreciate that. I'm a sales guy at heart, but the truth of the matter is, I've been in entertainment my entire life. I did produce Ricky Smiley Morning Show. I've also produced Wendy Williams and DJ Clue. I was going to do a show with Pimp C, but unfortunately, right after we signed the contracts, Pimp C died.
Oh, man. I didn't even know that. Pimp C, oh, my God. I can, what?
And how that came about, right? We had done so well with Clue, because I had Clue's weekend shows called Desert Storm Radio. So we had Clue's show running on all cylinders, and the syndicator was like, listen, you're in Texas. I'm like, yeah. He's like, how do you feel about UGK? I said, well, I know Bud B personally, but I've never met Pimp C. And he was like, oh, man, Chad's my boy, man. I'd really like to get y'all two together because I know Chad has a lot of passion. And I know that, with your expertise and his passion, y'all could probably do something great. And I'm like, all right, cool, that'll work. So I'm thinking he wants me to just produce this show. But he wanted me to co-host this show with Pimp C. So I get on the phone with Pimp C, right? And he was like, hey, first things first, I ain't going to be playing no damn Beyonce on my show. If we're going to do underground radio, it's going to be underground. I ain't playing none of that Beyonce, none of that pop stuff. I thought I fell out my chair, man. Like, he was just full of life, and he was so passionate. And I feel like that's one of the biggest disappointments in my career, that I didn't get to produce and create that show with him.
Man, how intimidating is it to hold a conversation? Just the way he talked. And he's just got like a slick mouth. He says just like the craziest stuff. Like Pimpin' Ken is like that too, man. He just got that sharp tongue. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, you got to understand me is to understand somebody who has a razor sharp tongue and got thrown to the principal's office every year from kindergarten to 12th. Because I be in there correcting teachers. So I never had an issue with holding my own against somebody who's got a difference of opinion or is known to talk slick in the mouth because, well, I'm slick in the mouth. I respect that. I figure that if you're going to be a man in this world, you ought to be able to converse and be able to express yourself efficiently. So I'm not one to back down from folks. I'll listen, I'll understand, I'll comprehend, but I'm never going to back down from somebody. So, yeah, I was not really intimidated. I got intimidated. I'm trying to think. Has anybody really made me intimidated? 2 people. Tom Joyner intimidated the hell out of me because, well, that's who I wanted to be. Before I started my career, I wanted to be a lawyer. That was my dream. I wanted to be a lawyer. My father worked in law enforcement, and my mom was a teacher. And due to a lot of factors, but not one of them withstanding being my father's line of work, I figured that if I became like attorney general or like district attorney or something, I could put all the bad guys away so my father could be home and maybe my parents could get back together. So before all of that, after all of that, I listened to Tom Joyner and I fell in love with that sound. This man was flying from Dallas to Chicago, making bread. And I told my mom, yo, I want to be on the radio. And she was like, you ain't going to make no money doing that. So I took the 26 bus in Philly, went to the library, pulled up this article about how much Tom Joyner was making flying from Chicago to Dallas every day doing a morning and an afternoon show. And after I brought that article home, my mom was like, go, baby, go. And I never looked back.
Yeah.
So meeting Tom Joyner at Tom Joyner's house in Miami, is intimidating. And that was probably a year into me taping and producing Ricky Smiley's show. So I was intimidated by him, just in awe of what that man had accomplished as a black man, in a white man's game. The second time I was ever intimidated by someone or at a loss for words was meeting Barack Obama.
You met Barack?
I did.
Wow.
I met Barack when he was campaigning, and he needed to, get into the urban markets. And so, of course, one of his major stops was, Ricky's show. So to be able to sit and talk to him and get him to say certain things. This is Barack Obama, and you're listening to the Ricky Smiley Morning Show. Was that okay? Did you like that?
This is Senator?
Yeah,
or
he was
candidate?
a senator.
Oh, senator.
This was the senator who was the candidate.
Okay.
He was running for president.
All right.
So that in and of itself, like a black man who legitimately was whooping Hillary Clinton's ass up and down, the country was amazing to me. So yeah, I was intimidated by him.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not scared of too much.
Yeah. I would be intimidated. I don't think I could talk, man. After watching him debate a room full of people on national TV and just undress all of them verbally with his mind, it was just crazy. That was like the first time I've ever seen somebody just dismantle that many people in one room.
Mm-hmm. No, the brother's incredibly talented when it comes to that mic game. He's lethal.
Yeah.
He's one of those people. He's in my top 5. It'd be like Jadakiss, Cannabis, Jay-Z, LL, or Rock.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let me ask you before we get further, what do you think about the new, the new hype train of people feel like they need to speak out against Barack Obama, but not doing nothing for black people? I see there's a lot of people are jumping on that train, which I understand. He didn't do too much, but a lot wasn't required. We kind of gave him his vote for nothing. And why is everybody surprised that because we didn't have any agenda, he ain't do anything? Are you on that boat too?
I'm not on anybody's boat because last time we got on a boat, we wound up in chains.
Okay.
Here's my opinion. My opinion is this. Black people in America have what I like to call, and please write this down, hashtag it, send it to your mama, I don't care. We have what I call Calvin syndrome. When I was a kid, there were these commercials. These were probably the first commercials McDonald's ever did to appeal to the black community. And there was this young teenage boy, skinny as a lark, walking down the street. McDonald's is proud to be a part of their community, and we're giving back, and Calvin's a great example of that. And everybody's like, hey, Calvin, you got a job. Go ahead, boy. I know you make something of yourself. And I'm like, yo, this dude is working at McDonald's. He doesn't own the McDonald's. He's not a shift manager. He's not a general manager. He's not even in charge of fries. He's just Calvin working at McDonald's. And black folks were applauding that. This is exactly what happens when you put Calvin in the White House. Everybody was so happy that Calvin got in the White House that they forgot to tell Calvin to remember where the hell he came from. But then again, let's remember where the hell he came from. That brother came from Hawaii. His father came from Africa. His mother is white. His white grandparents raised him in Hawaii. Barack really didn't experience systematic white supremacy until he got to the mainland. And then he realized he wasn't Barry Obama, the mascot. He was Barack, that nigga who could still get that work.
Right.
So now, let me get back to black folks and their Calvin syndrome. We got so happy singing and marching Jesse Jackson crying on election night, and we just got all wrapped up and said, wow, we did it. We got him in there. Every black person in America could have stayed home and Barack would have still won.
Right.
Popular vote don't decide nothing in this country. Ask Al Gore if I'm lying. So, when black folks do what we've been doing for 400 years, which is sing We Shall Overcome and Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, and we ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, but we've been turning around and spinning in circles like a daggone carousel since we got here. So, yeah, I do feel like we do need to hold Obama responsible, but how responsible can we hold him? When, in fact, we never gave him an agenda. That's one. And as much as I don't like Tavis Smiley was right. We don't have a black agenda. That's our fault. Number two, you look at the LGBTQ community, they got Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal. They got marriage equality in all 50 states. They have a lot more rights and protections under the law than they've ever had. In some cases, more than even black men have. And you know how they did it? They made sure they had people on both sides of the aisle. Watch this. Both sides of the aisle, and they cut the check. And before you say, well, I don't know of too many gay Republicans, ask Caitlyn Jenner what she identifies with. We do this.
Shots.
we do this. We do this, my brother. We do this thing where we like to vote with our feelings, and they get angry at the logical course of that action. We vote tradition. We vote because mama said so. We vote because such and such funny Reverend Dr. Brother got his head bashed in 50 years ago and died for us to have the ceremonial right to vote. We don't vote our interests. White people vote their interests. Jews vote their interests. Indians vote their interests. Ethiopians vote their interests. Japanese Americans vote their interests. Hell, Native Americans and Puerto Ricans vote their interests. Quote unquote, African Americans, which is a term I do not like, and I'll get to that in a minute. African Americans vote on tradition and what makes them feel good. I can literally put $10,000 on the table in front of most black people in this country and ask them to give me 5 points of Barack Obama's original agenda in 2008, and they couldn't do it. I could put $20,000 on the table and ask them to give me Barack Obama's 2012 agenda, and they couldn't do it. You want to know why? Because all we do is we watch snippets.
Yep.
We don't know what we don't know.
Right. And that's one of the reasons I became a big fan of your podcast. And the reason is right now, especially in the conscious community, we got a whole bunch of people. And you can go down YouTube podcasts, and then you hear a whole bunch of people talking about black empowerment. The problem I have, there's nothing tangible. You know, you can hear a whole bunch of people talking about white supremacy, racism, blah, 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 but no solutions. When I listen to your podcast, you actually have solutions on, you know, how to start a business, you know, how to optimize your website. Are we getting, because I'm getting a lot of overload. You know, there's always a point of diminishing return with all these conscious guys. How do we stop that cycle and actually, you know, fight for something tangible?
Great question. Here's my response. You can't, and I'll tell you why. Because most folks are afraid of the one thing that I love to do. I live for confrontation. I find that it's healthy. I want you, if you're going to say something out of your mouth, you have a right to say it. But because you said it, I have a right to question it. I have a right to challenge you on it. And if you can't back that up, then we know right away that you're full of shit.
Yeah.
So the problem then becomes, why do we let these Hotevin, Yowza Boston, coon and militant people's clothing run around talking about what this, that, and the third, but they have no plan. And I love when people try to come for me and they say, well, David, what is your plan? Well, here's my plan. Let's start building some businesses. Let's go into those black banks. Say what you want. At least Killer Mike told everybody to go to a black bank and put their money there. That's a lot more than a whole lot of these other fake Negroes have done.
Right.
And that's step number one. Step number two, we actually have to start educating, supplying, and policing our own. Even if that means we move in secret. Do you want to know how Christianity became so popular amongst black folks? It was because there was a couple of black folks who were usually the house Negro's daughter, who knew how to read, and they usually were with, a man who was a slave who then became the pastor or the preacher, and they would put on their best rags and they would meet in silence on Sunday, and they would come together quietly and they would have church. That's where the term Sunday best comes from. So what happens now is we need to organize in silence. What we do is we tell everybody everything we're going to do, then we put it on Twitter. Hashtag Black Lives Matter means nothing without any black money matters.
That's what I'm saying, man. Oh my God, man, you preaching to the choir right now, man.
You can't listen. At the end of the day, when I was a kid, there was this song my mother used to listen to, and it went like this: "Ain't nothing going on but the rent. No romance without finance." How is it you're going to romance these politicians if you're not cutting no check? And let's take away the national game, because the national game's already been spent. Okay, let's just talk about locally. A lot of these folks won't back any city councilman, don't know their district, don't know who their city council person is, don't know, who their ombudsman or their alderman is, know nothing about what's going on with their school boards, but they're sending their kids to be educated, in these public schools. Or they want to go to these charter schools, or they want to get talented 10 syndrome and take their Negro asses outside of the hood, which is fine because I don't live in the hood. But my kid goes to a public school. She goes to a special admission public school, but she goes to a public school nonetheless. And every last one of those teachers and the principals know my name. We're not active in our communities, but real active with our thumbs. Our thumbs are probably the strongest digit on our entire body. We could be like Spider-Man. Spider-Man can actually balance his whole body on his thumb because of his strength. We can balance our whole body on our thumbs because it's the only muscles we use nowadays. We don't want to die. We're a bunch of digital activists.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
So when I come around talking business, talking clear business with some of my folks, not all, but a great deal. It's, well, Dave, you don't know what you're talking about, and you ain't never done nothing. But I'm like, yo, my receipts are law. You can check my resume. Google's a beautiful thing. I can't create that many lines. I ain't that SEO talented.
Yeah.
What I do know though is there's an old saying that says, when people say it can't be done, they shouldn't be interrupting the one that's doing it.
Absolutely.
So I'm not here for the buck dancing. I'm not here for the speeches. You ain't gonna catch me in no march. I ain't gonna be saying we shall overcome. I ain't gonna go to no damn website, start putting up a petition to try and sanction Obama. What I am going to do is look at these fake Negroes and say, yo, where were you in 2000? Where were you in 1996? Where were you in 1992? Because Clinton's had a good time in the White House, playing saxophone, having hot sauce in bags and whatnot. Where were you then? Where was all this political aptitude then?
Yeah, you absolutely right on that, man. When I first started listening to you, man, you were Taz Daddy. You used to be in the United Players of America. You guys were leading the anti-moist movement, all that, good stuff. You wrote a book called common sense ain't so common. And it ain't so common. And the reason I brought that up was, you know, I live in Fort Myers, Florida.
I love Fort Myers.
Yeah, it's a very small area, but it's high crime. But, you know, there's high crime. I'm just using Fort Myers as an example. And, you know, they wonder why we have so many corrupt cops going through our neighborhoods and stuff like that. As like, you can't complain about the cops,
right?
You know, being corrupt if none of you guys are willing to do anything or be a cop or anything like that. How do you think, like, the militia groups and the KKK infiltrate these departments? They become part of the department. It's like all these people talking about, you know, police brutality. You want to stop police brutality? Become police. Go in and be an insider. Become a detective. So the common sense, I guess common sense is not so common. It's like, if you want to stop something, being on the sideline and talking about it is not going to change it. You got to be in it. I just want to get that little rant out there.
No, man. I mean, I know I'm one of them dudes that once I get going, it's kind of hard to get a word in. That's why, so I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm a lecturer. It's what I do. My father did not like what he saw as a black man growing up from 1935 until 2005 when he died. And for the majority of his life, he became a law enforcement officer. My brother didn't like what he saw in the late 90s, so he became a police officer. Number 3 in the sniper class, still a cop to this day. My Uncle Byron didn't like what he saw in the early 80s, and he became a Pennsylvania state trooper. You want to stop police corruption? Get in there and hold these folks accountable.
Yeah, that's
you know,
sense.
And then we got to start demanding more than say her name. Like, saying her name ain't going to bring her back.
Yeah.
Stop getting people pulled over for bullshit is what needs to happen. See, we're not going to ever see a Black Panther Party again. Just like you'll never see a No Limit Records ever again. You know, once folks realize that wasn't going to happen anymore, they're like, okay, nope, never mind, never again. We don't do enough to scare folks. See, now, white folks are a little scared now, and I am not by any far stretch of the imagination at all saying that anybody who's killed a white cop in this country in recent months and recent weeks is justified in doing so. But David Banner said something very poignant, and he said the only two things that white supremacy understands is the loss of money and the loss of life.
That's powerful right there.
But it's the truth. And I'll tell you what I mean. Like, let's take police killings and black people being killed off the table for just a moment. Look at Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook, those little white kids, God bless them. I'm so sorry they died. But they made old white America just started, you know, lighting candles and singing songs and wrapping their hands around things and doing everything they possibly could. And a year later, that school was restored to its glory. Where Germantown High School, the school that Bill Cosby, I don't care what you feel about Bill Cosby went to. But several luminaries in Philadelphia, black luminaries in Philadelphia, went to, got shut down after 125 years of existence. Then they took the students out of Germantown High School and they put them in the Martin Luther King High School, which is my alma mater. And in case you're keeping score, putting Germantown kids and Martin Luther King kids high school is like taking Bloods and putting them in Crip territory and saying, hey, have fun.
Oh, it's that big of a change.
You asking for it. You asking for it. But when we allow people, see, do you know the difference between a black person and a doormat?
No.
The doormat has no choice but to lie down. It's its job.
Wow.
To put it another way, there's a book, and I want to say it was Carter G. Woodson, It might have been E.B. Du Bois. I'm not sure W.E.B. Du Bois or not, but I'm pretty sure it was Carter G. Woodson. And in this book, he says, when you can control the way that a man thinks, you never have to concern yourself about what they'll do. You know, if you tell them that they need to go through the back, they will go through the back. And if there's no back door, their mind will create one.
True. Yeah.
We got to get to a place where we recognize what we're doing to allow this. See, you're not just going to run up on me and say anything out of your mouth, because you know good and well that, you know, I'm not dumb, and I have no problem doing what I have to do up to losing my own life to defend what I believe in, to make sure that my family's okay. I don't have an issue with that. So you're going to think long and hard. To put it another way, when I moved to Dallas, Texas, my life changed again. My life changed because I'm at K104. K104 is the station that Tom Joyner worked at for a very long time. And I'm here with all these people. Like, people leave K104 and they get on MTV. They leave K104 and they hop into syndication. Like, it's a launching pad for a lot of places. And I'm in the studio getting ready to do my shift. And the engineer comes in, and he has 2 guns and 2 holsters on both hips. I was like, wow. Are you coming to kill somebody? He was like, no. You know what's great about Texas, Taz? Because I was still Taz at the time. He said, you know what's great about Texas, Taz? I said, no. What, Bill? He's like, it's a real civilized society around these parts. I said, why do you say that? He said, this is what you call an open carry state, and it is exactly what the Second Amendment was meant for. I said, explain. He said, look at it like this. If I got 2 guns, right, and you got 2 guns, and you and I get in an argument, you got to think long and hard before you're ready to draw, because you don't know if I'm crazy enough to pull that trigger. So it's a real civilized society around here.
Yeah.
And I had the best time. I would go to gun shows. I get guns. I enjoyed walking around with my gun. That's why I was surprised that I saw a brother with an assault rifle at a Black Lives Matter rally, because that's what they do in Dallas. That's what they do in Texas. It is
I heard it's not uncommon. Yeah, that's what they do. That's how they live. That's how they live out there.
I love my guns. I had a good time. I went to 2 or 3 different gun ranges down there. Love my guns.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But now, man, no. We pop off on the internet.
Yeah. Facebook guns. Twitter fingers. Yeah. Hey, talk about how you hit rock bottom and the bounce back.
Wow. Which time?
No. The ladies' time, because you were doing lectures, you were flying high as Taz Daddy, man. Talk about, hitting rock bottom and how you bounce back. And I also listened to a couple of your podcasts. You say that you were blackballed in the industry. So,
God, yes.
Is there a radio Illuminati that does exist?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're getting all that. So let's go in order. Okay. When me and Ricky Smiley had a falling out, the reason me and Ricky Smiley had a falling out was because they were putting pressure on me to try and control a man that they couldn't control, paying him $40,000 every other week. That's one. Okay? Then, keep in mind, Ricky Smiley is my friend. What he doesn't know to this day is that they were getting ready to replace him because they felt like he was out of control. So either I was to get him in control, or he was going to lose his job, and I'd lose my job too. So I'm doing all these things to try and tighten him up without hipping him to the fact that I can't let him know that they're getting ready to replace him. Who were they going to replace him with? Either D.L. Hughley or Rudy Rush. Because the rest of the show they felt was solid. They just wanted to make sure that whoever was anchoring the show was going to do what they wanted them to do. And Ricky's like me. He don't dance, but he's a different kind of dude. So we fell out. When that happened, it turned into this thing where, I was just too much, and I was just a slave driver, and all these things that were far from the truth. And in radio, they always say, if you're not fired, you haven't worked. And so everybody began to treat me like Radio Tupac, because I could lose a job or a station's format will flip, and then the next day, a month later, 6 months later, I'm back bigger than ever someplace else. So nobody ever thought that anything bad was going to happen. But once my severance was gone and my savings was gone, you know, then the people who allegedly loved me at the time were gone too when I wound up homeless. So that was one. So I came back to Philly, right? And I started working. And I started working on myself. And I did an article called The Top 10 Reasons the BET Awards Made Me Want to Vomit. That wound up in the LA Times. The next thing you know, I got this huge Facebook following. The next thing you know, I'm on YouTube. And it's just, I'm going nuts at this point. So I get a call from what was then Clear Channel, that is now iHeart, and they wanted me to be their director of social media. So I come in Philly, I become director of social media, and I began to notice just a few things. You know, I had already written about 2 or 3 books, but I had just put the finishing touches on Common Sense Ain't Common, and I started to get some buzz. And when I got that buzz, certain doors began to open up. You know, Human Bookstore in Harlem called me. And during that week, it was like Steve Harvey was there on Tuesday. Michael Basil was there on Wednesday. I think Maya Angelou was there on Thursday. Somebody else was there on Friday. And then here I come Saturday. And they're like, well, no, we have this car dealership we want you to do an appearance at. And I'm like, yo, that's it. So our weekends are mine according to my contract. I'm not going to do a car lot when I could be at a legendary bookstore with legendary people. You're crazy. You know, I'm going to sign this book, and you ought to be happy. So that was one example, but let me go back a little bit further because I need you to understand that you asked me about the whole Radio Illuminati thing. There would be white folks in the room, and they say things like, you know what we should do on the hip-hop station? We should have an ass contest. We should do ass brackets. I said, excuse me? And you think I'm joking? I want somebody to hook me up to a lie detector. I can't make this up. They were going to do an ass bracket, like an NCAA March Madness bracket. They were going to have women submit their ass pictures, and they would have like a Final Four of who had the best ass and around an ass chant. Now, here's where it gets wild. There were several black women in that room, and those black women sat there quietly while this was being pitched and lauded by white folks, and I stood up. I was like, whoa, what are you talking about? Like the main demographic that the station hits are black women, are like 27-year-old black women. Most of us are single moms. And you're going to make these women denigrate themselves by taking pictures of their asses? Not that there's not enough sisters who would do that happily for whatever concert tickets or $100 we're giving away. But that ain't the point. You're doing this at the expense of a culture you don't understand.
Yeah.
And they said, but, you know, these things, if you look at the studies, you look at how it is, I mean, this is test well. So I'll tell you what. I am not one to say don't do something without giving you an alternative that will work better. And they're like, oh, really? Because, you know, obviously I can't be smart because I'm a Negro. They hired me, though, because I was smart and they couldn't figure out how to do this on their own. But they hired me, but I'm not smart enough to figure this out. So I said to them, here's what I would do if it were me and I were you. I would do a sexy single moms challenge. That way, you get to see more than their ass. And you get to celebrate the fact that they're confident, and you get to support single black moms. Not only will that give you higher ratings, more hits, higher ad rates for the websites, but you could take it and put it on every single station's website. And everybody, Detroit could run their own. Philadelphia could run their own. Power 105 in New York could run their own. Everybody could run their own, you know. And then we could do the best of the best, the sexiest single mom, you know, in the country. And everybody was like, wow, yeah, that could work. To this day, they're still doing that contest. But that's the type of stuff you see. So when I started to speak out about stuff, and when I started to say no to certain things, then all of a sudden I had to go. So they bring me into a room, and they say, listen, man, we're going to go in a different direction. I'm like, what direction you want to go in? I sound like Davey. I'm like, what's higher than number one? Like, what do you mean you're going in a different direction? And they're like, well, we're just going in a different direction. I was like, well, was it something I said? Was it something I did? They're like, no, we're just going in a different direction. And at that point, I knew what it was. I was a Negro who was too big for his britches. I was a smarty uppity Negro.
I'm gonna bust a couple shots, man. Who are some of the real assholes in the radio industry, man? Bust a couple shots.
It's usually a lot of corporate folks. You know, I didn't have any issues with any particular jocks. You know, I mean, there were a couple. You know, nobody that I would give a platform to mention by name because, well, they're not worth mentioning by name. You know, they're not big enough for me to, like, you would have to go and Google who that was. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, I never had an issue like the people that I wrote with, the Charlemagnes of the world, the Kenya Cabines, Rick Parties, Doug Banks, you know, Rudy Rush, Emily Steele, those people, Head Crack, those people, they love me and I love them. See, when you're confident in yourself and you're secure in yourself, you're not dealing with petty nonsense. But when you see somebody who's actually working while you're sitting around just collecting a check at a strip club every week, then yeah, I can understand how I might be a little bit intimidating. Okay. So yeah, man, it's usually a bunch of corporate cats or a bunch of part-timers trying to come up, or somebody who was an intern or somebody who just happened to sleep with the right person, that kind of stuff. Nobody worth mentioning. Yeah. I wish it was. I wish I could give you something juicy, but not really.
Hey, before we get into the business bully, man, one thing I want to talk about, because you were a music producer, executive producer of a show, and down here we got 100, we probably got 1,000 rappers, just in one city, whatever, man. And I was listening to one of your podcasts. I can't remember what podcast it was. You were a guest on a show. Dash a couple people's hopes and dreams, because a lot of people really don't understand the music game. You know, they might, you know, do a YouTube video, get 100 likes or whatever, and all of a sudden they think that they have a real chance. Set them straight on how hard it is and how much it really costs to make it in the music.
I will put it to you this way. There is an agenda, and that agenda will be met with or without you. There are a bunch of rappers who get signed, and they think that, oh, well, you know, now that I've made it. But now you've made it into a situation where you just became a slave. Good job. You know, what winds up happening with the rap game is that they're looking for a particular sound to push a particular agenda. And that agenda is not about revolution. It's not about education. It's not about spiritual development. There'll never be another Tupac. You won't hear Charlotte Polly on the radio. Ain't none of that happening no more. Queen Latifah's an actress, so there's no more female activism. You got twerking and ass, and, you know, I can pop my Gucci better than you can. You know, so if you don't fit into that, you're done. That's one. Number two, there is no such thing as a radio request. Let's just get that out there. Radio stations are programmed weeks in advance. The record companies have what are called ad dates, meaning you're adding this record into your rotation. And that's that. And keep in mind, there is not one black record company in America. Not one. So, you're not going to get a record deal. And if you do, you might hit, you might not. Then we haven't even gone to the topic of the conversation. Let's just say you do get a record deal, and let's say you just get popping. Sooner or later, you're going to have a conversation with some folks that you don't know where they came from or how they know who you are, but they do, and they sit you down, and they begin to tell you certain things that you're going to do, and if you don't do those things, well, you'll either wind up dead, forgotten, or crazy. Point blank and period. And if you think I'm lying, look at what's happening in the entertainment industry. Look at Cat Williams, look at Dave Chappelle, and look at Kevin Hart. You know, look at Ja Rule, look at DMX, and look at Jay-Z. Notice I'm giving you this in threes.
Yeah.
You know, look at, I'll give you a good one so that it makes sense to you. Look at Tupac, look at Biggie, and look at Dr. Dre.
They're dead. You're right. That's the same era, but two of them dead, and one of them, went.
Is thriving.
Yeah.
Miraculously thriving. And each one of those people that are thriving that I named can owe their thriving success to a conversation. And that conversation is usually sent by a representative that happens to have a certain religious connotation, and I'll let you figure out who that is, Jimmy Iovine. And so,
right.
It is what it is. You can't name me a black record company, and people try, and I literally destroy them when they play this game with me. So if you like, I'd be happy to play it with you.
Nah, I heard it's no people. Dumb people will be like, "Oh, Cash Money." No. Universal, yeah. Priority Records, Ice Cube, all of them. They're all, yeah. You can't find one. Motown,
no.
It doesn't matter.
Not one.
Not one, man.
And the one record company that was black owned and had the means of production was Luke Records. And that's why they kept shutting Luke down. It had nothing to do with his content. It had to do with the fact that he did not need anyone for anything, and they couldn't stand it. And when he signed Professor Griff, oh, God, that was it.
They got him.
Got him. That's why Uncle Luke keep a real low profile. He keep a real low profile nowadays.
Yeah. Hey, realistically, how much would an artist need to spend to get popping? Just to get to push a single, like on radio stations and stuff like that.
As if that's going to make a difference. I would say anywhere between $10 and $20. I would say between $10 and $250,000.
Wow. Just to get popping one single.
Yes.
Wow. That's
because you got to remember, man. This game is broken down into regions, bro. And so when you look at it and you're trying to get top, and that means you have to take over all of America. Now watch what white folks do, because this is where we get deep. And I've never said this on anybody's show, so you're getting an exclusive. Do you know how the Backstreet Boys became famous?
Well, they filled the void of those other Boys the Men and all those guys. I think what they basically did, they converted Boys the Men to the white audience, but they needed actually white faces.
Right and wrong. Right and wrong. Here's how it goes. Everything goes in cycles. Right now we're in a Blue-Eyed Soul cycle, which is why you have the Sam Smith singing songs that if Tank sang them, they would be buried. But let's just do Backstreet Boys. The Backstreet Boys decided to take, before we even get to the Backstreet Boys, Lou Pearl, who put together the Backstreet Boys, ran a company called Transcontinental. The reason that his record label was called Transcontinental was because he owned a fleet of private jets called Transcontinental Airlines. Stay with me, this is important. And one day, he just happened to be out on the tarmac looking, and he looked at his ledger, and he was like, who are these kids booking my jets? And like, oh no, those are New Kids on the Block. And he's like, well, who the fuck is New Kids on the Block, and how do they have enough money to afford me? And we're like, oh, well, they're a boy band. He's like, oh, what? They're a boy band, like New Edition or like the Jacksons. And then he began to study the game, and Lou Pearlman said, so you've got a cute one, you've got the baby one, you've got the bad boy, you got the big bride, and you've got the shy one. I can roll with that. So he decided right there in Orlando to start recruiting, and he went and started having auditions, and they recruited. And the first set of kids he got became the Backstreet Boys. And instead of trying to break them here, because he had long done, now this is a multi-millionaire we're speaking of. So to understand that I'm not making this up, you can Google everything I'm saying. This man took his money, took them boys, and flew their asses to Germany. He flew them to Germany so that during the summer and during like Christmas time, they'd be over there and they'd be selling out stadiums. They'd be killing it because you can take over the radio in Europe real easy. It ain't like here. And that's what they did. So by the time they came to the United States, their first single in the United States was Everybody, rock your body right.
That's you.
Back streets, back, all right. Where you back from? I've never heard of you. Oh my God, we're back again. The reason they did that was because they were already popping. They couldn't walk anywhere in Germany. They would come home and be in Florida, and we'd be like, yeah, we're popping, man. We're famous. And they're like, yeah, right. No, ain't famous. Don't nobody around here know y'all records. And then once they already sold millions of records in Germany, then they came here and did it. And Lou Pearlman said, well, damn, if I did it once, I can do it again. So then he created NSYNC, which is why you got Justin Timberlake there. We don't venture outside of the United States. We won't invest in ourselves enough to do that. We want to get it right now, right here, right now.
Yeah, you definitely have to take it over there. Yeah, that's you know what? Interesting you say that, because people like Drake, that's why he's so huge, because internationally he's crazy big. You know,
is that why Drake's so huge?
Well, no,
that's
he's
why?
huge. No, that's not the reason, but it does have a lot to do with globally. He's big, you know.
Well, he's big, but he also fits the archetype.
Yeah.
He's half Jewish. He's got his nose clean. He's a child star in Canada. He's got great comedic timing. He knows how to act, and he will follow instructions.
True.
He'll do exactly what he needs to do. Drake has done as many horrible things as Chris Brown has, but somehow still comes out clean. I'm just saying Aubrey comes out clean. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Take it how you want.
Hey, man, I could talk about music all day in that, but let's talk about the business bully, man. Pitch, close, upsell, repeat. A practical guide to sales domination, man.
Yes, sir.
Man, I looked it up on Amazon, man, and you're right there with Damon John. That book, The Power of Broke, which is, that's pretty big, man. Talk about the book and why you wrote it.
Well, thank you, brother. 31 weeks on the bestseller list. I didn't think that would ever happen. It's not what I was asking for. It's just what wound up happening. I wrote the book because I noticed that, first of all, most people don't know how to sell, because most people have a horror movie version of what they say the salespeople are. And so, and I mean, like, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Like, it's literally like they get anxiety, they get nervous, they're anxious, they don't want anything to do with anything. They get themselves so wrapped up in what sales isn't that they try everything to avoid that, and they wind up fools of themselves. So let's break this down. I'm going to ask you some questions. Now, you and I have never been in the same room, and this is arguably the second conversation you and I have ever had in your life. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. I want to ask you some questions.
Okay.
I just need you to answer them, even if they seem absurd. When you were a kid, did you ever ask your parents for a toy and they got it for you?
Yeah.
Okay. When you were a young man, and I'm not saying that you're not a young man now, but when you were a younger man, did you ever ask a girl on a date and she said yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Have you ever had consensual sex?
Yeah.
Congratulations. You're a salesperson. See, sales is literally the art of filling a need, filling a want, filling a desire. That's it. Needs, wants, desires. In other words, salespeople are problem solvers. If there's a problem, we fix it. And you've been watching this forever, and nobody understands this formula, so I'm going to break it down on the level. You watch TV on a Saturday morning, right? And I'm not talking about cartoons, but commercials. Stay with me on the commercials for a minute.
Yeah.
And you see this commercial, it's like, man, scuffling your carpet, that's a problem. What do? You pay $100 to get that carpet clean. Well, now you don't have to, because there's Rid-X, or whatever the hell it is. And then they show you how it gets rid of it in like 2 seconds flat. That's called the wow demo. They create the problem that you wasn't thinking about when you woke up this morning. All right? Once we create the problem, then I show you how my solution, the thing that I want to sell you, solves that problem. Then I tell you that it should cost you this amount. And that just seems like too much. But you're not going to pay this. You're not even going to pay half of that. You're not even going to pay a third of it. Right now, you're going to pay $19.95. And if you act now, here's free shipping. Here's how to order. You have 30 seconds left. Now let's take this logically and let's slow it down a little bit. If in fact it costs that much, why the hell would I discount it so low? It never costed that much, but it made you think, well, damn, that's too much. There's no way I can afford that. So psychologically, you're like, damn, even if I did want it, which I'm not sure that I do at this point, yeah. I can't afford that, and I'm not going to pay that for some damn stuff to get up off the carpet. The stage just going to have to stay there, damn it. Then they start whittling that price down. Then they tell you there's only 30 seconds left. Well, if there's only 30 seconds left, how do they know what 30 seconds that is, especially when this commercial is running 10,000 times throughout the day on a Saturday in 4 different time zones? But the psychology of scarcity makes you want to pick up that phone or go to that website and input that code so that you can buy that thing. These are the things that we don't pay attention to that are done to us on a regular basis. Let me ask you this. What's the most popular sneaker?
Air Jordans.
Who told you that?
I don't know. It seemed like everybody wanted them. Everybody got them.
But how did everybody get that one?
How did everybody get that one?
Yeah, how did they get that want? Where did that want come from? Who created that want?
Michael Jordan. He's retired, and they're exclusive.
Well, no. How are they exclusive when Chris Brown got a song? He says, "You like Jordans on Saturday? I got a hat one. I cannot wait." Let's stay with this for a minute. When I was 7 years old, Michael Jordan first dropped a pair of Air Jordans. When they were for little kids, they were called Sky Jordans. I had a pair because I had a pair of Sky Jordans. My big brother, who's 7 years older than me, had Air Jordans. Okay? That's when the Michael Jordan machines first started. Because keep in mind, Nikes were still Nikes and Jordan were still Nikes. They weren't Air Jordans by Nike or just Air Jordans as they are now known. But then everything started happening very systematically over a course of years. Air Jordans began to be the preeminent sneaker, and it didn't matter what came before, what came after. Allen Iverson, who broke Jordan's ankle several times on that basketball court, had a sneaker called the 3D Answer.
Yeah.
Nah, nothing. Couldn't stop it. Kobe Bryant had the Black Mambas. Couldn't stop it. Sometimes I dream that he is me, like Mike. If I could be like Mike. Then they put Lil Bow Wow in a movie called Like Mike. So not only are you wearing this sneaker, you're watching your favorite little rapper wearing sneakers and talk about being like him. You see Michael Jordan playing and believing he can fly with Bugs Bunny while an R. Kelly song plays in the background. Congratulations, you've just been sold generationally. You have never once in your life decided what was cool for yourself. The marketing department told you what was cool, and everybody bought into it.
Right.
People like to be led.
Yeah. And it could be you're absolutely right about that. Because I remember some Jordans that came out look ugly as hell. But you couldn't say they were ugly because they were Jordan. You had to say that they looked nice. You know, it was like peer pressure, or you couldn't put that label on Jordan. You're absolutely right. Psychology. I mean, you can't say Jordans look whack, no matter how ugly they are.
No, because the Jordan brand made itself a societal norm.
Right.
Here's what I mean by societal norm. How many adhesive bandages have you bought in your lifetime?
Adhesive bandages. I don't know. Hundreds. Little scrapes and stuff.
That's a lie.
Oh, well, it's a lie. Yeah,
you bought Band-Aids.
Band-Aids?
Your ass bought hundreds of Band-Aids.
No, adhesive Band-Aid. I don't know.
Adhesive bandages are Band-Aids.
Okay.
Adhesive bandages are their true titles, but the brand name is Band-Aid. You know who did that to you? Barry Manilow. I am stuck on Band-Aid because Band-Aid stuck on me.
Right. The brand, yeah, it's Band-Aid. Like, even Coke. Even if I drink a Pepsi, I call it Coke. You know, give me a Coke.
Bro, you've never ordered rum and Pepsi a day in your life.
Nah.
Never ordered a rum and Pepsi. You probably had a million of them, but you've never ordered a rum and Pepsi.
No.
It's the same thing. To this day, they're still talking about do the jingle. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Old black folks will say, hey, boy, give me a Kleenex. They don't say give me a tissue. No one has ever used the phrase in my house, give me a facial tissue. You got some Kleenex?
Right.
That, my friend, is a societal norm brand. It becomes just a fabric of what it is. Speaking of which, the touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives, even though it sounds cool. Cotton, of all things, the fabric of our lives. And you're damn right it is. We picked enough of it, didn't we? So I wrote this book to kind of break down this myth of the used car salesman and the whole I'll go to my manager tactics and come back just to make you wait and sweat it out. That's not what sales is. You're filling a need. You're taking care of needs, wants, desires. That's it. You're killing the people's egos. You're creating urgency. And if you have a product or service, that's what you need to be doing. And more of us need to do it with our products and services. And if we don't have products and services, we need to start developing some.
Yeah.
So I wrote this book so that we can have a manual. You know, like Biggie said, there's rules to this shit. I wrote you a manual. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
I desire for my people to understand. And I didn't write this specifically for my people, but I wrote this for my people, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. It
like
makes
when I started out, I wanted to write the ultimate sales guide. Like that's all I wanted to do. I wasn't thinking about it being a bestseller. I wasn't thinking about getting on the Breakfast Club. I wasn't thinking about talking to Steve Harvey. All I wanted to do was write a book so that people could stop struggling. Because once you learn how to sell, you'll never be broke.
No.
Period. You want to know who the best salespeople are? I'm going to tell you who the best salespeople are.
Who?
And it's a tie. And depending on which day you catch me, I'll give you one or of two of these answers. The two top salespeople that I've ever seen, just categories of salespeople, children and strippers. Let's start with children.
Yeah, they get you.
My 17-year-old will say to me, "Oh, Dad, you know, Rihanna's got these sneakers coming out." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. You better work, because I ain't buying that damn sneakers." That's right, man. She's like, "But Dad, you know, this, and I've done this, and then I've been like that, and oh, damn it, here, go get the damn sneakers." You know? Or my little one will be like, Dad, I mean, there's times I want to do, you know, like, drop an episode of my podcast or, you know, come do an interview. Like, my kid has walked in here, my baby, she's walked in here like twice because she wants her daddy. You know, she wants me to hold her or she wants me to play with her, whatever the case may be. So kids are, they're just resilient and they don't know how to take no for an answer. So along the way we lose that. Even Jesus said we need to think like children, need to behave like children. You know, kids have an agenda and it will not be met until it's over with. They want it now and they won't have it. Period.
You're right.
Please,
you know what? They don't feel guilty about it at all. You know, as an adult, if you whoop someone, you know, get somebody, sometimes you know, remorseful or whatever. As a kid, if you got what you want, that's all that matters. You don't feel guilty about it. You get what you want.
Right.
You get it however you got to get it.
Right. And I wrote this book to make sure that people operate it ethically as well. But let's talk about strippers for a minute. I've been in strip clubs, and I've seen, you know, sisters, you know, hey, Daddy, you want a table dance? You know, a lap dance is only $10, or we could take this to the VIP. So not only are you trying to get me to give you a lap dance, but you're upselling me while you're giving me the lap dance.
Yeah.
On the promise of me taking you home, and I know, well, I'm not taking you home, Christoph, because you're going to in the champagne room. But you got to make this money, because when I was a DJ, and I was in, like, North Carolina, I would DJ at strip clubs on side. Why? Because it's easy cash in my pocket at night. So I come in, I make sure I had a lighting just right. I make sure that, you know, whatever songs they wanted, they played. Because before they did anything, once they got their bread, the first thing they had to do was tip the DJ. So that's why if you look at Hustle and Flow, you know, Paula Jai Parker says, I ain't even made payout yet. Meaning she got to pay the club and she got to pay the DJ. So you got to hustle, because you don't want to be that stripper who owes the club and the DJ at the end of the night. So you develop these instincts. It's what I call the gun to the head mentality. Yeah. If you know that you have no choice, you'd be amazed what the human body can do when it's forced to, when it's looking at its own mortality. We don't treat things like we're going to die. We treat things like we're invincible, or we'll leave that to the next generation to fix.
True. And you know what? That pitch, close, and upsell. You see, I'm a salesperson too, and we're taught, and it works. You know that you got to do it in that combination. You know, like the stripper example you just gave is a great example, because she asked you if you want to dance. She tried to close you. She pitched to you and tried to close you. But at the same time, she tried to upsell you. You know, what you could take the upsell, but you know, if you're not ready for the upsell, you know what? I'll just take the pitch, you know, close. Bam. You see?
Yeah.
That's awesome right there, man.
You can't lose. Even look, man, look at it like this, right? McDonald's makes more money off of 35 cents than they do off of anything else. And you're like, 35 cents? Yeah, it's called Supersize Me.
Yeah.
All day, every day. For 35 cents more, you can have a large meal. Would you like 2 apple pies? Constantly upselling you. It's not those teenagers who you can't get to do any damn thing other than play Pokemon Go or work at the McDonald's, upselling you left and right.
Yeah, you know, you're that I can't. You just blew my mind. I mean, I thought I understood it, but now I'm enlightened, because today I was actually online learning about. I got this thing on my phone called Shared Skills, and you know, these are little short online classes, and I learned how to set up a Spotify website, and also there's this site that does drop shipping. Basically, you can sign up, sync them up together to where you can list stuff on Spotify and, you know, promote it through like Facebook ads or whatever. When people take the order, that website fulfills the order, does the drop shipping. And the guy that taught me how to do it, I hit him up on Facebook, right? Because he, at the end of the course, you know, he put his Facebook information on there, right? So when I was chatting with him, he was giving me the information. He's like, this is what you do and everything. But what was crazy, he did say, I have mentorship. So he upselled me. And then he gave me the price of it was $1,000. I don't know if he did that, you know, consciously, but as soon as he did that, I was like, you know what? Do you have like something that's more affordable? It's like, once I knew the upsell, I was looking for something right in the middle. And if it was something reasonable, bam, you got me.
You got to cover all your bases.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, the whole thing of it is people like Shopify. Most people don't know how to run a Shopify type of situation. And so if you're able to do that, then yeah, man, it's like this. In the village of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. An expert is only somebody who knows one more fact about something than you do.
Yep.
That's all. I gotta know one more thing about something than you do. If I know just one more thing more than you, I'm an expert above you. Point blank and period. And from that space, I can teach.
Right.
Now, for me personally, I am not the number one sales or branding expert, and that's only because I don't have a TV show on ABC every Friday night. But I will say this. I know pound for pound that you will never outsell me. Ever. Simply because I always act like I got a gun in my head. And I'm unafraid. I'm unafraid of failing because I've already failed. I'm not afraid of being homeless because I've already been homeless. I'm not afraid of losing because there's nothing that can be worse than what I've already been through. On top of that, I'm not afraid to use the three most powerful words any salesperson can ever have. I don't know. And that's not something that you say to a prospective customer. That's something that you say to yourself. Because if you want to be the best, you have to continue to learn. Do you want to know why I'm better than most salespeople?
Why?
I don't compete. Here's what I mean. Salespeople, if you ever watch salespeople, a lot of them, they're trying to compete with one another. They're trying to, figure out who's the best amongst them, and they're constantly competing. I don't compete. I dominate. Have you ever seen Mortal Kombat, that movie? Not the video game, but the movie itself, the first one.
Nah, I never seen it, but I seen trailers and stuff.
You gotta watch it. Here's why. There's a very powerful scene in that movie. I can find any movie related to sales, but I want to take Mortal Kombat just for the example. In this movie, there's a character named Goro. Goro's like 8'5". He's got 4 arms, and he literally just whoops everybody's ass, right? So there's a tournament going on to decide who is going to face Goro because Goro is the champion. So while these folks are fighting it out, Johnny Cage and Liu Kang and Sonya and Sub-Zero and this one and that one and the other, do you know what Goro's doing?
No.
He's doing 2 things. The first thing he's doing is he's watching these other folks fight for the right to face him. He's also watching fine women feed him grapes, and he's laughing at the fools beating each other up to try and get at his spot. I'm willing to learn what I don't know. I read 3 or 4 books a week. I want to be the best. I don't know it all. Things are constantly changing. I write, I'll probably put out, a bunch of ebooks in between my major books. Like I'm dropping one on Tuesday just about how to turn Pokemon Go into a business funnel for your business to help you make money. I'm constantly learning. My kid was on Snapchat. I realized that there's money to be made on Snapchat. I sat my 17-year-old down. I was like, yo, show me this. And then by the time she was through, I said, cool, got it. And I started to write an ebook about Snapchat. Like, I'm not afraid to go where the money is. If you go where the people are, you will always win.
Absolutely.
If you don't, you will always lose. So I'm not afraid to evolve. Most salespeople are, because most salespeople are a lot like our people. They are in love. They romanticize tradition. They want to keep doing it the way they've always done it, and that's why they'll never grow.
In my notes, I was going to ask you, some of these sales gurus like Zig Ziglar, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, and I even put Donald Trump in that. And I'm enlightened now because now I think about it, they're always pitching, closing, and upselling. Like, and they almost look delusional, but they're relentless, and they do that naturally. Like, if you know who Grant Cardone is, right?
Yeah, I know Grant.
Yeah, all those guys. When you really look at them, it doesn't look like they're doing anything special or saying anything earth-shattering, but their relentlessness is different. They're always in that mode where they're selling, closing and upselling you. They're relentless.
Not only are they relentless, but they have a process in place. That's why the book is called Pitch, Close, Upsell, Repeat. Your mama does not have a system like McDonald's does, even though your mama makes a better burger than McDonald's ever could. But your mama has not put a system in place to sell billions of burgers to billions of people over the next 60 years. That's the difference. When you look at somebody like Grant, Grant is very good at what he does. I feel like where Grant goes wrong, and this is just my personal opinion, and Grant Cardone could easily buy and sell me. I think Grant sometimes overpromises and underdelivers. I think that, he, like, and you have to, and I'm not knocking Grant when I say this. I think Grant is phenomenal. Grant has tunnel vision. His job is to have tunnel vision. There are a lot of same things that I say that I've heard him say. Like he believes in domination like I do. I'm not going to compete. I'm going to dominate. If you're not hit like that, and I got that when I was a kid, I would watch Triple H. And Triple H, I'll never forget this, I was about 22, 23 years old. And Tough Enough, the first season of WWE Tough Enough, which is a competition show for potential wrestlers who want to get a contract with the WWE. Triple H jumps in the ring.
Yeah, The Miz.
And Triple H jumps in the ring. And he says, yo, take a bump. Now, a bump is when you actually fall flat on your back onto the canvas. And people believe it's a trampoline. And as a former professional wrestler, I will tell you it is not. And taking those bumps is the hardest part of being a wrestler because you ache afterwards. It's just like bump after bump after bump. And he asked each one of them why they were here, trying to be a WWE superstar. And he didn't get the answer that he wanted. The answer that he wanted was, I'm here to be the WWE champion. He said, if you're not here to be the champion, you don't belong here. You should be coming here thinking, I want to take your head off. I want to get where you are and then destroy you. But people don't think like that. People just want to do enough to make sure that their kids have something. I just want to be able to have enough money to put away for a rainy day. Why not? I want it all. You have to have that tunnel vision. You do. Tony Robbins learned, how to, he was an apprentice, of other folks, of Zig Ziglar and folks of that nature. He watched what they did, and he took it to another level by buying infomercials. That's how he made his money. He bought infomercial stocks late at night and started selling tapes. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit up here and rewrite history and tell you that I didn't learn under Les Brown, because I did. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that everything that I ever did was perfect and spot on, because it wasn't. But my mistakes are now your advantages, but I've got a lot more right than I've ever gotten wrong. But the things that I've gotten wrong, people now who read my books benefit from. People who get my coachings benefit from those things. I can literally look at what's going on with you and tell you exactly what to do to fix your business to make sure that you're making $10,000 a month in about a half an hour. How? Because I've done it again and again and again and again. And I know what to look for. And I always look in the one place you're never looking. It's kind of like how you lose your keys and they're always in the quote-unquote last place you look.
Right.
I'm the last place you look.
You're right about that. It's always, I hate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you kick yourself like, damn, I just paid you all that money to tell me that. And damn, why not think of that? Because your head is crowded. Why would you think of that?
Oh, man. I was going to talk about Black Lives Matter, but, we're going to stick on business because...
No, we can talk about whatever you like, but feel free, man. This is your show.
Yeah, that what do you think about that, Black Lives Matter, What do you think about that movement?
Okay. The fact that we have to have that movement in a country that we built is pathetic. The fact that the movement still has not publicly, at least as far as I can see, and I read, I watch, I look at the internet, I'm on Twitter, I have yet to see an actual agenda.
Me neither.
Like, what do you want? Like, specifically, what do you want? I mean, do you want to have more wood for your ticket signs? Do you want to have more FaceTime? Do you want to keep running up on people and telling people what they should say or shouldn't say? Do you want to make sure that you have your ordinances ahead of time to be alerted by the white supremacists when they're going to kill one of our brothers and sisters so that you can get your march on? What exactly do you want to do? And that's not me. I applaud anybody who tries to take some action, but when you don't have a plan in place, like I said, man, everything comes down to a process. It's the same thing in business. If you don't have a process, then what you're doing is you're flying blind. You are trying to run on luck, hoping that you'll hit. It's like playing the lottery every day and say you can't play if you don't win. If you don't have a process in place, how can you win? How can you sit up here and demand all this attention, but you don't have an ask? You don't have anything to ask for. Right. Specifics. That's my issue with these internet movements, and that's not to in any way diminish what Black Lives Matter has accomplished, but let's be honest, what have they accomplished? Yeah. Because if Black Lives Matter was really popping the way that it should have been, everything past Jordan Davis wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. You know what? I think this whole movement it's a trick, basically, because if you look at who funded it, and is this just another mechanism for the Democratic Party to control black people? They want to be able to tell us when we should be outraged, when we should be marching, when we should be doing this, and when we should be doing that. And I can't understand how we keep getting bamboozled into this. Social justice in America is a joke. You will never get it. Like, if you look at anything that's ever changed, it's all been economics, even slavery. People think that this was social justice, people up north was like saying, the slaves, we don't want to see them getting whipped. We don't want to see, we want to abolish Jim Crow. The catalyst to all those things were economic. Up north, those people didn't want, slaves in the workforce, that drive down their pay. You know what I'm saying? Like the Montgomery boycott, they were killing that busing in that city. And that's the only reason things change is how could we keep getting bamboozled into thinking social justice is I guess it's achievable.
Well, Jay, I hate to use cliches, but I'm going to. Those who do not understand their history are doomed to repeat it. Yeah. Black folks love singing Negro spirituals. Black folks don't bother understanding anything. That's why when I get in a conversation with black folks and I begin to tell them about themselves, they get mad. Because I read, and that's not to say I'm the only black person who's ever read a book, but what that is to say is if you're going to start talking about something, know what the hell you're talking about. Know what you're talking about. How in the world can you talk about you want the laws changed when you don't even know what the law says in the first damn place? How backwards is that? But that's what we do. We get so upset. And the other thing that pisses me off about these quote-unquote movements is the second it's out of the news cycle is the second that you forget about it.
Yeah,
most people right now, if I put $100 on the table right now and ask the majority of black folks, when was Trayvon Martin killed without using your phone or without going to Google? When was that?
It's been a couple years. It's been a while, actually, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Most people couldn't tell you off the top of their heads. They couldn't tell you what month it happened in. They can barely tell you where it was. They can't tell you what law that that protected George Zimmerman. A lot of these things that people forget. People forget who killed Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis?
Yeah, who killed him?
I really don't know.
Michael Dunn is his name. You see my point?
Yeah.
The second it's out of the news cycle, the second we forget about it.
The loud music.
So how angry are you? How angry are you if you're getting your anger and your outrage from the TV? Yeah. You're not. Most people are more angry about the fact that Stevie J and John are broken up than the fact that black folks are getting murdered out here by race soldiers.
You're absolutely right about that. People just move on real fast. Like, we just had a club that, like, 2 teenagers died and, like, 17 got shot. Like, the first day, people were talking about, the outrage and everything, and now it's crickets. Nobody knows anything. Nobody's talking about it. It's over.
And that's the other thing, man. Like, you're talking about, you asked me about the radio Illuminati and things of that nature. Back in the day, the things that are happening to radio personalities would never happen, and I will tell you why. The DJ was the pillar of the community. So if you fired a DJ, they better have raped like 5 kids or killed their wife or some shit. Other than that, they're going to be out in front of your radio station picketing like no Roger, no rerun, no rent, and then they'll go to the advertisers of your radio station and say, we're going to boycott your products to make sure that we keep our favorite DJ on the air. Now, man, you fire a DJ in a heartbeat. Like, yo, what happened to such and such? I remember one time, somebody came up to me like, yo, man, no, I ain't heard you on the radio in a minute. What's going on? I'm like, man, I retired. Why'd you retire? Well, man, it just got a little hectic. Damn, I ain't even noticed. That's how out of tune we are. We're the Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is a metaphor for us. The apocalypse is happening to us, and we're not even aware. We are the Walking Dead, bro.
Yeah. From the water we drink to everything. I was actually having a conversation with my friend the other day because my girl just had a baby. And there's this thing called WIC. I forget what the acronym is, but every state got it. It's basically how if you're
Women's, Infants, and Children.
Right. And it's like that reference you made of The Walking Dead. It's really relevant because I walked into Walmart the other day and I was looking at all the stuff because I went to go get some baby formula. I got some a newborn. And I remember I got offended a couple months ago when one of her girlfriends, suggested that she get WIC. And I went to the grocery store and I looked on the bottom shelf and all the off-brand, loaded crap was WIC approved. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, it's like, we don't even see it coming. It's in plain sight. I'm not giving my baby that stuff, that Similac, that crap that has high fructose corn syrup in it. Even though it's free, there's a price you still pay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like The Walking Dead. Like, we just walking around, they give us free stuff and they're killing us. And we don't understand it. Man.
It's true, man. But when you even look at the fact that there's a system in place that keeps black men from being in the home, even though black men are more involved fathers than any other race in this country. But the agenda will tell you something different. Just like the agenda tells you that black folks are the ones who are on welfare, when the number one minority in this country is on welfare, and that's white women. Yeah. The media will tell you that black women can't find any good black men because they're gay, dead, or in jail. But the truth of the matter is 85% of all black women who are married to black men. Those aren't statistics I pulled out of my ass. That came from the U.S. Census. So is the government lying or is the media lying? Who's lying? And why would the government lie about numbers like that? Especially when the media puts on a different agenda.
Hey, man, I know you got a family, man. This is so great, man. I love this conversation. But the last topic is this economic slavery, man. And like the other day I was like looking on Facebook and, I got, people that they have like a big Facebook following, but yet they can't monetize it. And I've been doing a lot of reading, looking at all, affiliate marketing and stuff like that. A lot of people are leaving so much money on the table. It's crazy. It's like 100 likes on Facebook is very hard to get. And there's some people that get a lot of, they get like 200 likes. A smart person, like one of those internet nerds, could monetize that into a business that makes like $10,000, $20,000 a month very easily. How come so much of us miss that boat? Like blogging, like there's people that are going to sleep that are making tons of money, and we're on there yapping about, somebody fighting or something like that. How come we're missing the boat? And can you give us some tips on how can some people stop missing that boat and monetize that?
Well, here's the thing, right? This is such a loaded question. I could take this so many different places, but I will say this. The truth of the matter is that we have to be more careful as to what we spend our time doing. We have to look at what makes the most sense to us. We don't pursue our passions. We're looking for the next quick get-rich-quick scheme. So we jump on this. That's why you see so many mindless sheep, going to these MLMs that don't fit their lifestyle. You'll see a bunch of people posing by the Porsche or shooting for a pink Cadillac instead of looking at what it is that gets them up in the morning. The key to my happiness and the key to my quote-unquote success, however you measure that, is when I get up, I'm happy. I'm waking up to the woman I always wanted to be with. I have 2 beautiful kids. I own my home. I help people figure out what it is that they want to do, the thing that's going to make them get up and be happy in the morning. And I help them focus on that and monetize that. What you need to do is find the one thing that you would love to do that even if you never got a check for it, you do it any damn way. And that's where money is. If you do what you love, the money will follow. And I know that sounds like something that somebody says, like, hey, just keep following your dreams. But no, that's not what I mean. I like professional wrestling. Love it. I was a professional wrestler. I love the theater of it. I love the athleticism of it. I love the stories. Good versus evil, corruption, the unexpected elements, the shock and awe of all of those things.
You were a singlet, a wrestling singlet, or you were your tights, man?
Well, why we got to talk about my singlet now? we was doing good. We were doing good. Yes, I wore a singlet. Yes, I did.
I wrestled in high school, man. It's embarrassing.
Yes, sir. I wore a singlet. It is what it is. I got a lot of experience from wrestling. But the thing that I learned were things that I still take into consideration that had little to do with the ring. Here's what I learned. Because I like the stories, I found a way to learn how to speak in sound bites. I found a way that, like, when people, go back and listen to this, they will take things out and they'll start making notes. And they'll listen to what I said, and then you'll see memes pop up on different social media sites. You'll see people quoting me and adding me on Twitter for things that I said throughout here that I didn't give a thought about because I do it subconsciously. That's one. Number 2, image is extremely important. When I do a speaking engagement, I do not wear a suit. I usually wear a T-shirt, some jeans, and some sneakers. Why? Because, damn it, I don't like suits. I have a Peter Pan complex. I don't want to grow up. I don't want to wear a tie or a serious expression in the middle of July. If growing up was awfuler than all the awful things that ever were, I won't grow up. Because everybody tells you have to be professional. Hell, Steve Harvey, love him to death, but he's running around here telling brothers to cut their dreads off so they can be more professional. Him and Steve Perry talking about that nonsense. I'll be damned. I don't wear dreads, but I feel like E40. I might start growing some. Just because I'm changing your perception of what professionalism is. Because regardless of what I'm wearing, do you know what people call me? Mr. Anderson, and I did not star in The Matrix. That's the difference. So I understood that the optics are just as important as the message. Number 3, and this is the big one, merchandise. The money is in the merchandise. That's why I have books. That's why I sell T-shirts. You know, I'm about to release the Business Bully Championship belt. Why? Because, damn it, I always wanted to be the champ, and I never got to be the champ. But I'm the champ when it comes to this sales game. I'm the champ when it comes to this brand building. And you know what? You should be able to fill out a champion, too. So you need to come get one of these belts. But if you won't wear that belt, you better be the champ.
I'm the belt. I wear the belt in Southwest Florida. You guys heard that the #1 podcast is Southwest Florida.
Boom. Boom. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it comes down to. If you find the thing that just makes you happy, like that one thing, like, you know what, even if that thing is something as simple as, you know, making pie. You know, like there's some people who just love to make pies. Let me tell you something. My wife makes a better sweet potato pie than my mama. I pray my 70-year-old mama don't hear this podcast. But my wife makes a better sweet potato pie than my mama, better than that Pan LaBelle Walmart crap. My wife's sweet potato pie, I will give it the Pepsi challenge against anybody's sweet potato pie, including your grandma's. I will make your grandmama have a heart attack with my wife's sweet potato pie. That's how good it is. She's passionate about that. She loves to make sure that her family is happy with what they eat. But she's also passionate about children. So my wife writes children's books. She does things that are going to make her happy. We don't do that. We focus on, I got to get money, got to get money, got to get money, got to go to college, got to get money, got to go to college so that I can get a good job, so that I can pay off college. Stop going to college for mom. Start educating yourself. Every answer to any question you could ever want to ask is in your phone, numbnuts. Use it. Stop being afraid. Even if you, okay, let's just pretend for a minute that everybody's a Christian. God did not put a spirit of fear inside of you. So why are you holding on to that fear so much? Who said that you had to go out and get a good job? Why don't you make the job? You know, we used to do that. We used to be shop owners. You know, we used to be entrepreneurs. We used to be out here going and getting it. There was something that got us up that says, you know what, I can do this. I want to challenge myself. Also, stop hanging with people who don't have any goals. Stop hanging with people who are just doing the status quo. Find a new group. My immediate circle, everybody in my immediate circle is smarter than me. I am not the smartest person in my group. I'm arguably the dumbest. Because I want to be around people who challenge me. I got one boy whose job, I swear to God, this is his job. He goes to law firms all across the country, finds out who the fuck-ups are, and fires them. That's his job. And he's really good at it. That's what he does. And they pay him an absolute money. This man was in Thailand, sending me pictures like, yo, Anderson, I'm in Thailand, check out this. And he's just snapping pictures and sending them to me. I'm like, this is some bullshit. You got to go all the way to Thailand and fire somebody. Like, what is that? You know, I got another homie of mine who's painted pictures for Erykah Badu, Barack Obama, and, you know, everybody you can think of. You know, I can't paint a damn stick figure. You know, but this man lives in downtown Dallas painting pictures, and he supports his wife and his kid. You know, painting pictures and stretching canvases. That's what he does. And he creates a series. You know, I got people, you know, that I deal with who own apps, you know, who understand that part of the game is the future. So I'm constantly learning and I'm watching what other people are doing, but this is my circle. These are the people that I deal with on a regular basis. So the circle isn't pushing you or challenging you or making you reevaluate your steps 1 through 10 on a consistent basis. You need to find some new friends and quick. They ain't got to be cute. They just got to be smarter than you.
True.
That's it. Who cares what they're wearing?
You should make it a point to not to be the smartest person in the room. I heard that quote somewhere. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. It's a detriment.
And don't get me wrong. I love being the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be the smartest person in my group.
Right.
In my clique, I want to be the dumbest. You know, And hopefully one day I'll outgrow my clique. I don't know when that's going to happen, but one day, that's my goal. You should try to get to another level, man. You know, you need to constantly build and challenge yourself. I'm always challenging myself. You know, I want to be able to do more. I want to have another kid, maybe. You know, like there's things I want to get done, but in order to do that, I've got to expand my dream so much. Look, man, I'm scared to death that I'm not going to have enough time to do all the things that I want to have planned. That's what scares the hell out of me. Not dying. I'm not scared to die. I'm scared to die without fulfilling everything that I got planned right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I suggest.
Yeah.
So let me hammer this down because I know I said a lot. First things first. Find what makes your heart sing. Find that thing that you love. Number 2, pursue it like you got a gun to your head. Number 3, get with people who are not just like-minded, but next-level minded, who don't mind showing you, because secure people don't mind helping you. I got a homeboy right now who's also in my clique. This brother, watch this. He writes for Philadelphia Magazine. He writes for Metro US. He writes for the Huffington Post, and he writes for BET.com, and he writes for PBS at the same damn time. 5 very distinct audiences. He writes for all of them, and he is a gay man who is out and proud, and yes, he's black. And that brother's getting it in, and I'm like, yo. The sad thing is he's 24 years old. I'll be 39 this year. And I look up to him.
Yeah, you had him on your show. Yeah, I heard.
Yep.
Yeah.
His name is Ernest Owens. He's phenomenal. You know, that's what I'm saying, man. It's levels. And you're never too young to teach, and you're never too old to learn. Humble yourself. Learn from greatness. Study greatness. Use your resources. Use this technological age that we're in to find out how you can monetize your dream. And if you need help, look, I'm here. I'm not hard to find. Come find me. I have no problem taking the check from you and showing you how to make this happen.
boy, man. So where can they find you at?
All right. Well, with everything, with the exception of my Twitter, you can find everything about me at The Business Bully. You know, that's Twitter, that's not Twitter, that's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat is DA Business Bully. Everything else is THD Business Bully. I also have a website, which is businessbullyshow.com. You know, so you can check out my shows, things of that nature there. I'm always around, man. I'm always around. And, of course, if anybody wants to call the office line, it is 929-35-BRAND.
Okay. All right, man. Hey, man, thank you so much again for coming on No Cupcake Zone, man. It's been real, man. Man, I was nervous, man, but, you know, we got to talking and stuff, but everything flowed, man. But, thank you again, man. I hope I can get you on again because I got a lot more to talk to you about, man.
Bro, I'm telling you, as busy as I am, I got nothing else to do.
Okay.
You know, it's important, man. Look, man, I never want to be so big that I can't speak to my people.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
You know, and that's
Solid
important to me. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. All right, man. You have a good night, man. It looks like my girl's knocking at the door or something.
Uh-oh. You sure you ain't got no warrants?
Nah, I ain't got no warrants.
All right, my brother. You take care, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Be easy, man.
Take care.
All right, you too.
Make sure to tune in next week for our all-new episode of the No Cupcake Zone podcast. Don't forget to go to NoCupcakeZone.com to subscribe to this podcast.